The gang life and what it taught me. So by the age of 13 or 14, I'm already deep in the scene. I wanted to smart motherfucker. So once I probably didn't have enough heart to have enough muscle to fight, but they'll still make shit happen. The gang life and what it taught me. Born and raised in Miami, in a city called Hialeah, I was one who stepped off the porch at a very young age. All right, mom and dad, they didn't work out. Dad left the house at about the age of 11. Only had moms at the house. I don't have one of those sob stories where mom was a drug addict or she worked 17 jobs. Yes, she worked two, three jobs at a time, but my mom was always present in my life, at least in a physical form, right? My mom didn't have much life experience to lead or to at least raise a son by herself. And at a very young age, I wanted to become the man of the house. I wanted to become dominant. I wanted to become the protector, the provider. So what did I do? I immediately started to look for different hustles, right? Build my manhood through, you know, trying to become this masculine young little boy and fighting the kids in the hood. I was always hanging around with the older kids because I always wanted to have something to like match up to or level up to, right? So I'm calling them out. I've been into so many fucking fights. I've been into so much fucking trouble. I'm just gonna go over just a snippet of it right now, right? So by the age of 13 or 14, I'm already deep in the scene. I already had my first gun, was a full blown dope dealer, and I met the first mother of my son, and she was in a family where they were involved in high crime, right? I ended up gravitating towards one of her uncles, which was actually the founder of the organization that I ended up leading soon after because he passed away at a very young age. And this I tend to get a little emotional. This was 11 years ago because this was actually the first male influence in my life who I looked up to and respected besides my father. My father's a great man, you know, a man of a very high ethics and high value, high integrity, right? But this man is someone who I respected with that little tin of fear, right? Who I looked up to and I wanted to emulate, I wanted to be like. And he taught me how to fight. Mind you, this guy was the founder of a very notorious crime organization. Again, the same crime organization that I ended up leading. And he will still tell me, like Eddie, being with his niece, he will tell me, Eddie, fuck the streets. You know, like be a family man, right? Get a job because he was a family man. He was a decent individual. He was very smart, very, very intelligent. And this is something that a lot of people overlook, like the intelligence of a crime boss, the intelligence of a high-ranking, just a high-ranking fucking criminal. These people are so intelligent, and if they can take that same IQ and EQ, because it's both, and directing it to something positive like I have, you can make such a fucking impact. But going back to the story, he was one who was always trying to influence me. My first mentor, man, always tried to influence me to do something better with my life. And he had a grasp on me, right? Again, I'm already full blown on the scene, in the streets, doing my own shit, you know, toting a fucking a Desert Eagle, which I have a tattoo right here. At the age of 14, I had a gun that was the size of my fucking leg. And he would, um, show me things but in a way where he was like, Eddie, this is not what you want. And I remember this one instance, right, where I was in a house with him, and this lady walks in the room. It's him, his right hand man. You had a couple soldiers in the back by the table. I forgot what they were doing, cutting some shit. But I wasn't even, I was too young to even they didn't want me to look basically. They had me in the room. They wanted me to feel the environment, but they didn't want me to let they didn't want to let me know the full operation of what was going on. So this lady walks into the front door and tells him, his name was Gago. Gago, listen, I got these gold chains, I got this Rolex. I'm seeing all this now, right? And he basically protected a lot of people in, or at least protected was the right word to use, but he extorted people, right, for protection. And these women, these like there were just women in the streets who were just out there fucking off people, man, robbing people, sleeping with them, fucking them over, right? And you can tell like uh, he wasn't proud of what he was doing, but it was just his position. And the lady walks in, gold chain, Rolex. I think she had a couple rings, and she's showing it to him. What can we get for this? And he's breaking it down. And this girl was fucking 6 foot tall, super curvaceous. I had never seen a woman like this, right? Back in the like late 90s, excuse me, this was early 2000s. You didn't see women like this. This was way before like a lot of the plastic surgery started to go on, and you don't see like these you know, fucking lengths of curves and all this shit. So I'm looking at this woman in just complete daze, and my uncle, which I consider him my uncle, looks at me. He's like, "Eddie, what you looking at?" And I'm nervous. I'm fucking 13, 14 years old. I'm like 14, 15. I'm looking. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting shy and nervous. Eddie, what you looking at? You looking at her? He grabs her. He twirls her. I'm like, come on, stop. Like, cut it out. I'm blushing. I'm getting. So, and then the lady starts to smile at me. I'm like, fuck, man, this is so awkward. I'm a young ass kid. I literally just lost my virginity, right? I didn't know. Like, I was just in just complete fucking. Wow, I'm seeing this so vividly now, right? This was such a very great lesson that I learned here, right? So he's like, "Tell me, Eddie, what you looking at?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm just just seeing what you guys are talking about, seeing what's going on." He's like, "No, you're looking at her." So I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm kind of looking at her." She's like, "You like that?" I'm like, "Damn, well, come on, man, I'm a kid, you know." And he asks her, "Hey, what's up with my nephew? You think he's handsome? You think he's cute?" He's like, "Well, when he hits 18, shit, I'll definitely take him on." So he looks back at me, "Eddie, what's up?" And he's getting like a little intense right now. So I'm like, "Damn, mom, like it's okay, man. Yeah, I was looking." And again, mind you, I'm going out with his niece at the time, right? So I'm thinking that that's what it was. I'm like, "Oh shit, this motherfucker's about to yoke my ass out." So he ends up telling me, well, not telling me, he ends up like making a whole show there. So he grabs the lady, and as he's twirling her, he grabs her by the hand, throws her outside. Not like throws her, but like grab her by her hand and just push her aside. And he's like, "Man, get out of here." Right? So I'm like, "Damn, what happened? Why would you do that to her?" And I was like, she ain't do nothing wrong. Let me tell you something. You see that girl? You know what she does? She sleeps with dudes. All right? She has full blown AIDS. She sleeps with dudes and takes their shit and brings them to me and gives them a fucking death wish. So right there and then, I'm like, "Damn, this is what this game is about." And he's like, "Don't always fall for the shiny shit. Like, well, anything that shines is not always gold." And that was such a valuable lesson. And I think because of that one lesson, I've never been with like those troubled women, right? Like again, I'm heavy in the scene, right? I got notoriety. I got all the fucking girls from all the neighborhoods and all the cities, and the fucking leader of this gang's girl on me, and then this one. And I just never felt for that because of that one lesson. So this was my first mentor. I really learned the value of having a mentor, even though it wasn't in the right environment. So he ended up passing. Fast forward, I end up taking over. I end up becoming the shot caller for my crime organization, and I try to take it in a complete different direction where I am just wanting to better my neighborhood, keep the crime, keep the dark side in the dark, and protect the elderly people, protect the women, protect the children of my neighborhood. How fucking stupid was that? How stupid is it being the monster, the menace to my society, and trying to control the crime to the level of no, there's going to be no casualties, right? So I always knew I had this these right intentions within me. I just didn't direct them in the right way. But through that life, right? Through dealing with so much violent people and being the delegator of all this, right? I learned so much shit. Not only did I learn to now do that again in this life, but I learned so much about myself. And it just got to a point where, we were real heavy on the scene. We were the ones making the most noise. We were the ones like I'm a firm believer that everything happens in sequence for a reason. Because if we were the guy swooped up by the feds, let me just fast forward a little bit, right? A little bit later, just a little bit later, I wouldn't be here telling you the story right now. So in the heat of it all, right? We have so much operations going on. One of the groups had an operation, which was my indictment, where we were doing shit out of the country, from China to DR to all over the states. Just got really messy, right? And we were under surveillance for about 3 years. I was a complete ghost until day 30 before they picked us up. And it was because they found the throwaway phone from one of my co-defendants in his closet and linked me to just two text messages and an initial, which was just E. That's all he had me under was E. Just initial, my first name. And that was the end of my crime spree, my gang spree, right? We all got picked up. A few of us got released because they didn't have enough evidence on us. So I was one of the very few on the house monitor. Some of them were just running the streets like normally because they didn't have as much evidence on them. So I ended up getting together with everybody. This man told my whole organization, told everybody there is no more positions. If you're going to continue to do whatever you're doing, do whatever you're doing. But I'm not going to get caught in a fucking racketeering charge. Because if we were hit with a RICO, we would have been fucked. Everyone would have been fucked. And to this date, right, there's only very few of them that I keep contact with who are they're living a better life, right? I'm still that influence because even then I was still that influence. Even though our mission was to do every wrong thing, all right, it was still with I don't even know if this makes sense or I'm saying this the right way. It was still with the greatest of intentions, which was to feed a family, and that's just fucking stupid to say, right? But that was my mindset at the time, right? Make sure nobody gets hurt. Make sure like my people were very strict, very militant. I couldn't have anybody around me doing fucking drugs, right? Fucking like doing the lowest, pettiest, bum ass shit. Like I couldn't have those type of people around me. I needed to have more intelligence around me, not just muscle, right? It's one thing to have muscle, meaning that you're one you'll fight. You'll put up a fight. When shit got real, you'll be the one to put down. But it's another thing to have heart, but it's a whole nother monster in a good or bad way. To have this, to have the intelligence. That's what I wanted around me. I wanted the smart motherfuckers. So once I probably didn't have enough heart to have enough muscle to fight, but they'll still make shit happen, right? So taking that same concept and applying it to this life that I live now in the most rational, logical, and constructive way, I've been able to do so much. So take that as a lesson to be learned. Anything that you're going through, or anything, if you're in that life right now, or if you've been in that life, or if you're in a similar circumstance, right? Where you're doing everything wrong, there's something to learn from it. Don't settle for it. Don't accept the fact that, oh, I'm just gonna start to do whatever I'm doing with the grace of intentions, because it is gonna catch up to you. It's gonna fuck you up and everybody around you. But take what you've been through or what you're going through right now, direct it into something more positive, more constructive. Give back to this beautiful fucking world.